So today we're going to be mixing together Arctic Fox's Purple Rain with their Poseidon. So I have my swatches labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. I do close-ups and pictures near the end of the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. They are human hair swatches, but the only one that is virgin hair is the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically dyed or bleached at some point in their existence. Number 1 is a green. I get a lot of requests when I do purples and pinks to use green swatches, so that is why I chose a green for number 1. Number 2 is gray, 3 is a natural red, 4 is black, and then from 4 to 11 is a range that goes to platinum blonde. And then number 12 is like a toned version of number 11. So for today's mix video, I'm actually going to do 3 separate mixes. There's a really good range you can get out of these 2 colors. So we're actually going to start with equal parts on the top. So that'll be the same amount of Poseidon as there is Purple Rain. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take dye differently. Also, monitors and screens can make colors look very different, especially things like undertones, so please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. So since I started doing only 2 parts on each swatch, I used to do 3, I've realized just how difficult doing 3 is, and I'm kind of afraid of how it's going to turn out. I originally wasn't even going to do the equal parts section because I thought Purple Rain was going to be way too pigmented and cover up any Poseidon, and instead I was going to show you guys a swatch comparison. So I swatched Purple Rain and then I made an equal parts of Purple Rain to Poseidon, and I swatched that and I realized there is enough of a difference to where I should do a swatch, because I thought about maybe doing a platinum blonde swatch with equal parts on it and then do the rest with my other parts. But I also know that Purple Rain is a little bit more pigmented, like I just said, so it would probably be more helpful to see that on darker swatches as well. So I just decided to suck it up and do 3 parts on these swatches. I know it can be a little hard to see, but I really do try my best, and I will do close-ups near the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. For the middle mixture, we're going to be doing a 4-to-1 ratio. So that will be 4 parts of Poseidon to 1 part Purple Rain. On the last mixture, it sounds like a lot, but again, Purple Rain is very pigmented, so we're doing an 8-to-1 this time, and that is 8 parts of Poseidon to 1 part Purple Rain. I'm going to let these sit for about 3 hours. I will then rinse them out, and when they're dry, I will meet you back here and we can do some comparisons with my other swatches. So number 1 was originally green. So the top part that is a little bit more purple is actually kind of hard to see on the green. It's very dark. I wouldn't say it's necessarily black looking or anything, but at least in this lighting, it's kind of hard to see any dimension. But as we get closer down to the end with more of the blue, it gets a little bit easier to see, and I actually really like how it reflects light. The green underneath looks like it kind of muted the color a little bit, which I think is very beautiful, but if you're looking for something a little brighter, make sure you have most of the green out of your hair before doing this. 2 was gray. I would say it does look slightly more cool toned than the number 11, which makes sense considering it was gray before, but really isn't a huge overall difference. Number 3 was the natural red. I won't say that this is my favorite color over natural red. I feel like Purple Rain by itself would turn out a little bit better because it has a little bit more warmth and plays along better with the warmth in the natural red by itself. The purple and blue mix over the red kind of just makes it look, again, so dark that you don't get a lot of dimension, at least in this light. 4 didn't seem to take anything, as usual. And then 5 and 6, I feel like they definitely look darker, but not really any more colorful. We'll have to see when I do these in the natural light if any of the, like, at least the purple shines through, because I know Purple Rain is very pigmented. But from here, it just looks like the brown was darkened. 7 and 8, you start to see a little bit more color show through, but again, it's just so deep that it's hard to see a lot of the dimension. I will say on the ends, it almost has like an ashy, like, it's not quite gray, but it does look like a more muted steel-like color. I don't know how to describe that properly. And I think personally, I actually like the ends the most out of all 3 mixes on the 7 and 8, but I also know Poseidon's not usually pigmented enough to stick to hair that is virgin hair. So if your hair is virgin hair, I would stay closer to doing more Purple Rain. Purple Rain is a lot more pigmented. And then I'm just gonna jump to the 11 swatch because I do feel like that one turned out probably the best in terms of how well you see color. Maybe even the toned one as well, especially for the blue section. Having the really cool tone base helps the blue to shine even more. 9 and 10, they don't look terrible, but the lighter the base is, so the lighter the hair is, the more color and saturation will show through. I am actually super glad that I ended up doing the equal parts on top because I think it does cool down the Purple Rain enough. I was afraid that Purple Rain was going to be too pigmented, but I'm pretty sure Purple Rain by itself is usually a little bit warmer looking. Of course, we'll do a comparison, but that's the fun thing about doing mixes is that you can control how much of what you put inside of it, so you can almost create any outcome that you want. So since I mentioned Purple Rain, we should just jump into that and compare Purple Rain. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, and number 10. I do feel like sometimes seeing the diluted section can be a little bit distracting. So I sometimes feel like seeing the diluted section can be a little bit distracting, but I'll leave it up for a moment so you can see just how warm the Purple Rain is on its own. And in real life, I can see that the top half is also quite warm toned in comparison to this mix at least, but when I put the piece of paper on top, it might be a little harder to tell. I also am going to leave these swatches up near the top since the top is less blue looking and more purple looking. Poseidon isn't quite as dark, so another thing I've noticed with mixing these two together is that it does lighten the Purple Rain a little bit as well. But this does also show just how pigmented Purple Rain is because, like I said, this is equal parts of both Poseidon and Purple Rain, and you can see just how purple this still looks. So hopefully this helps anyone who was hoping for a more blue result when they mix theirs together, because if that's the case, all you need to do is add a little more blue, essentially. And of course, we should probably also compare Poseidon from Arctic Fox. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, and number 10. So since the ends are the most blue for this mixture, I wanted to move the Poseidon down so you can see the difference. And again, just see just how pigmented Purple Rain is. I do this over the course of a few days, so I could have the ratio wrong, but I believe I said that this was an 8:1 ratio, so that is 8 parts of Poseidon to 1 part Purple Rain. And you can see just how different the undertones still are. So Poseidon by itself is not like a super greeny blue, but it's not also super cool tone. I feel like Periwinkle, even though it's lighter, that one is definitely more cool tone than Poseidon. But then Aquamarine is definitely more green leaning than Poseidon. So Poseidon's kind of right in the middle. But you can see when you mix it with the Purple Rain, it definitely becomes extremely cool toned and a little bit deeper as well. And if you're expecting that this mixture was going to turn out a little bit lighter, like you're looking to cool down Purple Rain but also lighten it, you could either add a bit of conditioner to this mix, or I did a video as well mixing Purple Rain with Periwinkle. And I did just want to throw that swatch in really quick. So this is comparable to the number 11. So you can see that this is mostly Periwinkle with just a little bit of Purple Rain. And it's quite light, but it is not quite as cool toned as Periwinkle by itself, but it's not quite as warm toned as Girls Night. And then as you add just slightly more Purple Rain, it gets a little bit darker, but it stays slightly more cool toned than Purple Rain by itself. And if you want to see that video, it will be linked below. There are a wide variety of different mixes I can do with Arctic Fox or other brands, so always feel free to leave a request. I do have a link below to a request form if you want to do that. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm not going to go through and try and find a comparison for each part of this mixture because they all turned out different enough. But I will do one comparison that's not from Arctic Fox, and that's going to be Manic Panic in the color Electric Amethyst. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, and number 10. So hypothetically, say you really want like a cool toned purple, but you don't want to mix anything together. My first thought was this Electric Amethyst from Manic Panic because it does lean slightly more blue for a purple, but it still looks very purple. There is People Eater from Good Die Young. That is a cool toned purple, but it almost leans so blue that like in some lightings it looks like an indigo. So that's why I went with this one. It is also just slightly lighter than the top half here, but I would say this color is kind of like an in-between. It's not quite as blue looking as this, but it's not quite as purple as this. I would say it's like a right in between color there, at least in person. On camera sometimes I'll be talking about something and it looks completely different, so that's just what I see. I want to say this was a 4-to-1, so hypothetically, I don't know for sure. I would say that to get a color like this for Arctic Fox, you would maybe do like a 2-to-1 ratio where it's 2 parts Poseidon, 1 part Purple Rain. I do feel like this Electric Amethyst is a good dupe, I guess, for what this mixture can turn out like, essentially. So I'd like to get into the before and after clips now. Those, as well as anything near the end of the video, will all be done in natural lighting. I hope this video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out, but just remember I only do dyes that do not test on animals. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.